Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm Ep.130.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
Embrace the madness.
The views and opinions expressed on Geekfather are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their affiliates, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. This is for the parents and not for the kiddies.
Geekfire!
Can you try one more time? Say Geekfather real loud.
Geekfire way out!
Hey guys, welcome back. That's right. If you've made it through the new year and you're celebrating the 2023 and everything is good, hopefully so far, and you're hearing this voice, that's right. It's a new Geekfathers coming at you, bringing all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent. And, well, we'll see how this year goes, because I give no promises, just like to my children.
Well, so far, no tragedies, I don't think.
Some celebrity tragedies.
Nothing personal.
Right.
So that's good.
True.
We're going to take that as a win.
Knock on wood, throw some salt over your shoulder. Don't jinx it.
That's right. And as you guys are hearing, of course, my partner in crime, the guy who somehow has tolerated my ass for a couple years now doing this, Mr. Kyle Smash.
What's going on?
Hey, man.
What's up, baby? Just
hey.
Army crawling into this new year.
That's
like
right.
I said,
we told you last episode we are taking it easy. Slow and simple, man.
I'm taking it real easy, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm Army crawling slowly into this year. I'm not taking any chances or detours that are unnecessary. True. I'm not, like, jinxing anything.
Fair.
I knock on a lot of wood lately. Just all day.
There you go. And of course, as you're hearing as well, there is the mysterious third voice for this episode. Ooh. And not so mysterious, we have M the Gem back again, actually, for our show. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
You're usually just running away hiding when we record, but welcome.
Thank you.
She decided to join us for our first episode of 2023.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Always welcome, always. So far, we all agreed that we took it easy New Year's Eve, right? No rookie parties or anything. We just chilled.
No.
We chilled the fuck out.
Who parties on New Year's Eve anymore?
No, nobody.
You can't go out on the road. It's not safe.
Nope.
No, my children tried to hang with me, but I think I lost Logan about 10:30, and he was the last one to fall asleep except for me.
Yeah, I think my kid was definitely falling out there towards like 11:45, 11:50.
She didn't even care. She was like, great, the ball dropped. Okay, I'm going to bed now. Good night.
Yeah.
Kids don't usually really care about the new year. Time's irrelevant to them.
Leland is our sleeping one anyways. He'll fall asleep in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
No worries. Logan, he just knew it was extra time that we played a few extra video games. He got to watch some extra shows. So he took advantage of that, and I got him so hyped up, it was just that immediate downhill crash.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, you're done. And I watched movies and TV shows, and I was like, oh, it's 12:30. I guess I missed the ball drop. Good night.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Did they sleep in the next day?
Shit, no. Of course not.
Up at 6 a.m.?
But that's what the wife is there for. She's the early bird in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
You gotta have at least one early bird.
Exactly. And thankfully, that is my wife. Praise be to her.
Jem's that way. She can get up. She'll get up and do things, but I'm more active when I'm up. The moment I'm up, I'm like, I'm going.
It's hit or miss for me.
I mean, I agree to disagree. Like, yeah, you're up, but you're not mentally up until like
no.
Oh no,
a cup of coffee in and.
Yeah, at least an hour after that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at full okayness.
Yeah.
That's why I have found that little niche that I've talked about before, where thankfully, because my wife's job this year, she gets the kids up, starts getting them ready. I wake up long enough to make sure they finish up that part, get them down to the bus stop. I come home, and I get to sleep for about another hour to hour and a half before I even worry about coffee.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, I'm up in the morning, I'm up in the morning with her, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm pretty much...
You got something on your nose.
What do you?
I was trying to be stealth about it, but
You can't be stealth on it. Just saying it. We're on a podcast.
I know. But it
I have
looked
something
like you had a bogey or something. I don't know what you got going on.
What was it? It was. Who
I don't know.
knows?
I guess you got. Maybe it was fuzz. I don't know.
All right. Well, it's off now.
I mean,
okay?
you can sit there and pick your nose for all I care.
We're trying to have an easy year, okay? Like one fuzz on the nose, and I'm trying to get it off. Then I stand up and I trip over the chair and break my neck on something. Like that's how I'm going into this year. Like it's like I feel like someone waiting for death in Final Fantasy, in Final Destination.
Oh, so you saw the pattern, so you're just trying to avoid the pattern.
Right.
Okay.
Not that I actually think something bad's going to happen to me or someone I love. I'm just in my mind. I'm just like,
as long as you're not driving
rush.
behind those log trucks, you're good, man.
Right. Never behind the log.
Never
truck.
behind the log trucks.
I will break the law to get past
that.
them.
Ruined a whole generation of drivers for sure. So.
And it never helps when periodically you get news stories of like log trucks that fucking.
Oh fuck yeah.
Their bands broke and then they just crashed all over the highway. Like that is the worst nightmare right there. How are you supposed to get away from that?
Fantasy.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy?
Could be. But fantasy in general. I was just saying, like, I don't know. I don't even want to
If you're
think
in
about
that situation, Final Destination style is definitely going to be whatever fantasy you have is going to be your final one.
That is fair.
At least in this world.
Agreed.
At least so. Have you caught anything new or watched anything good that's started or ended this year, new year?
Actually, well, I kind of did a reverse, and there is going to be one main show. I'm going to say we had talked about it. We got to talk about it on the episode because that's what we've been doing. We've been talking a little bit more movies, a little bit more nerd stuff that we've been doing because it's good for not only us for escape, but it's good to show the kids.
Well, yeah.
So we have a
Geekfathers.
great recommendation for a cross-generational series that just wrapped up this this week earlier this week
yesterday actually
it was just yesterday.
Yeah.
God damn. But I did before we get into that series, I did finally catch up on Wednesday, which I thought was a great take on that character.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I love that series. I just did a complete binge the past few days on that.
It's an easy binge.
It is.
It's
totally.
so easy.
shorter episodes.
Well,
very
they're each
digestible.
about an hour. They're a little bit less than none of them went over an hour. Only 8 episodes. And let's be honest, Tim Burton is pretty straightforward when it comes to the shit that he does. He made a cool little mystery story, but he breathed life into characters that, besides the last movies with Angelica Houston and Raul Julia and all of them. The Addams Family hasn't been doing all that great. They've had a few cartoon movies.
Anything non-animated. There hasn't been really anything,
right?
Since those movies.
Yeah,
that's why Christina Ricci did a great job as Wednesday. But I think she explained it really well. I saw and read in some interview, clickbait interview, but she had said that she. That Wednesday was always a side character, and this show actually gives her some
front and center
from life, some freedom to show what that character's worth. And I'll tell you, like I said on our last episode, I rated it as one of my top 3. It was like Christina Ricci. She was funny on the show as like the older, you don't know where she's coming from. But spoiler alert, I really love that she turned into the villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like, I was wondering, like, is this going to be like a 1 or 2 day thing? Like, Tim Burton's like, come on, show your face. But he's like, no, I need to use you.
Yeah, actual, like, a character built within the story and everything like that. And I thought it was great just to even throw on the parenting one because, yes, there's a little bit of blood and stuff, but my kids see worse in their video games.
I mean, it's
minimal.
It's Tim Burton.
It's Tim Burton. It's very minimal. But I thought the whole concept of the whole, and Tim Burton kind of does this anyways, but this was a little bit more straightforward with it, was the whole, like, there's a group of outcasts, and the whole thing is we built a society to balance outcast, normal people, and there is some crossover, and there should be crossover. I thought that was good just to, even if the kids, my boys had seen some episodes, watched some of it with us, because Jennifer watched it separately, but there was just enough that it still catches their eye on certain things, even if they weren't into the series. They're still picking up on stuff.
Tim Burton knows how to do something visually to catch your eye. I mean, that's
For
sort
sure,
of what he does. He's kooky, which is perfect. So which makes him perfect for it. He is.
Yeah.
He's a very kooky guy.
He is very kooky. So
I mean, we've all seen, or most of us have seen the not Return of, was it Return of Superman?
The Nicolas Cage,
Cage version,
test screening.
Yes.
Yeah, that version wasn't actually done, but just the testing footage.
Yeah,
of Nick Cage with that suit. Yeah,
it's what Tim Burton would do with a Superman.
Well,
movie,
yeah, because part of the Superman suit lit up.
Yeah,
had actual lights built into it.
It was neon, baby, neon.
It was not even neon. It was just like early, like HD, like LED lighting, man. Like it looked almost like Christmas lights around the S on the chest. I mean, it really did. It was rough. It was really rough.
Being with me, Jem, you've seen like at least a dozen of Superman something.
Oh, of course.
Would you want to see Henry Cavill? He's the one that played like Man of Steel and Justice League.
Okay.
Would you want to see him in a suit that lit up?
No.
Like, and not like a cool light up. I'm talking like,
even better to see Nick Cage.
Yeah,
as
Nicolas
Superman.
Cage.
No.
With long hair. Long hair, mind you.
I already don't like Nicolas Cage as it is. What? I know. Taboo. Everybody canceled Jem, but...
Oh my God, I didn't know this. This changes everything.
The wedding is canceled.
I know.
You don't like Nicolas Cage?
No.
That's fair.
Cancel the wedding.
You know,
I'm telling you.
He's an acquired taste. You know,
that's true.
He really is an acquired taste. I mean, I know you've seen Raising Arizona. Did you say you liked Raising Arizona with the baby? Which one was it? Wasn't Raising Arizona?
Yeah, Raising Arizona.
No, it wasn't Raising Arizona. And I'm way off.
Nicolas Cage, Helen Hunt, John Goodman.
No, he was in it for sure, but that's not the movie she saw. It was Con Air.
Well, Con Air, which is very cheesy.
Put the bunny back in the box.
All right, Forrest Gump, calm down. That's
literally what Nick Cage was copying.
I know, but I totally caught the Forrest Gump vibe off that, man. So yeah.
All right, keep going, Hummingbird.
And then the other movie he was in was Moonstruck, which is a total chick flick.
Moonstruck,
I
love that movie.
Oh, you know what's the line he says?
I lost my hand. I lost my bride. Johnny has his hand. Johnny has his bride.
That's great. Well done.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I remember, when we first met, she would do that. I was like, I'm impressed. That's why I always thought I never actually thought about you not liking Nicolas Cage because of that. I guess I just assumed you didn't, but it explains why you'll never watch National Treasure with me.
I've seen it, but I don't like it.
No. I love Nicolas Cage. He's just weird enough.
Yeah. Actually, I did National Treasure for Smack My Pitch Up with Hobbit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. It was one of the last episodes he did before he got Tondi on there to do their regular thing.
Oh,
before he changed up the format.
I don't think I heard that episode. What was your take? The shortage version.
The main part I thought would have been at the time I can't even remember. Like I thought of some fun actors and stuff, but I can't remember off the top of my head here. I barely remember yesterday. But I definitely thought it just should have been redone as like because of the political climate. It should have been just way more like just political heavy, but still the fun like we got to use stuff from our U.S. history, but I wanted like legit U.S. history for shit, not just the shit that you read in your high school books that were totally like whitewashed and shit.
Right. Internet history.
Oh yeah, I totally thought that it should have had way more accurate history, I guess is a better way to put it. It was my main take.
Well, half of history is hiding the truth. What's that from? Quick, go. Serenity, man.
Oh, dude,
half of history is hiding the truth.
That's right.
I aim to misbehave. You
see, I forgot about the
old
first
son of a bitch.
I know, man. I totally forgot about the first half. Everybody remembers the second half of that quote. So that's
Yeah, you just this. I think the senility is starting to.
Oh, that's perfectly
starting
logical as well. I don't doubt it whatsoever.
Well, for everybody listening, I mean, he gets lost every time he comes here, and we have to go find him. We didn't want to tell you.
Don't tell my wife. Just don't tell my wife.
If you haven't met Scotty P, he's actually very, very old.
I'm a rickety motherfucker.
That's right. Well, he's like an old cabin, but you got a lot of character.
Oh, okay, sure. Or is it like Cabin in the Woods, where a bunch of just fucked up horror shit happens?
I didn't want to go dark or dirty, but
It's what we do.
It can be whatever. It can be whatever your old heart
I mean, are we talking
wants.
Evil Dead? What? I mean,
I'll always talk about Evil Dead.
absolutely.
Speaking of that, there's
Bruce
going to be
Campbell event.
the Bruce Campbell event, the National. I'm very excited.
Yes.
Very excited for that. I cannot wait to go. And you get to watch Evil Dead. I wonder if he sits there and watches it with us, or we watch it before he comes out.
You know what? I hope to find... Well, first off, I hope to go to the event. Second off, I would love to find it out because that would be a great comparison compared to what Kevin Smith does when he does the live events for the movies.
That's true. I can already tell you they have a completely different style. I'm sure that Bruce Campbell gets in more than one question.
I'm not trying to compare styles because they are going to be different. They are going to both be fun.
Yes.
You know, neither one of those should be taken as a negative light into how they handle their shit. It's just interesting to see. That would be very interesting to see. Because Kevin Smith admits he watches it, but also it is a newer movie, so I get it.
Yeah.
Like his new movies. Bruce Campbell has been in and seen this movie how many times in 40 plus years?
I seriously doubt he's going to sit and watch it with the crowd. I know that. I assume that we'll get there. He'll come out and do a little thing, and then we'll watch the movie, and then he'll come out.
Yeah.
And
but also what Kevin Smith says on why he does it is because he wants to, obviously he knows the movie. He directs, wrote, edited, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
He's looking more for the reaction, how the crowd reacts.
Yeah.
Is more so what he looks for. What would Bruce Campbell look for when he does these events? Or does he just go back and go...
Well, you're right, and there's two factors there that kind of make a difference, is that Kevin Smith, the movie that he's watching with the crowd is one he's literally just made.
Right. There is that difference.
So he's promoting it. You don't need to promote Evil Dead. And
no.
you don't. So I guess the thing is that he's, like, you were right though. He's probably seen it 40 million times, or he's seen clips and he's heard people say it, yell at him down the street, groovy, or give me some sugar, or hail to the king, or whatever. Shop smart, shop S smart. Like, I'm sure he's heard it so much that it actually has got to be pinpricks in his brain.
To some level, sure.
I
get that.
I can respect that, but I do hope that if you go to this event. That we get to actually, more than one or two people get to at least ask a question. Maybe some new information to come out. He's great at speaking anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. But tickets go on sale tomorrow morning.
Friday the 13th. Woo!
Yep, Friday the 13th, tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. for the National show.
Yeah, it's at the National. So.
And that's it, which I think is in March. Was it March?
April, actually, I think.
April,
for this
excuse
one.
me. Yeah. But definitely, if you're Campbell, if you love Bruce Campbell, if you love Evil Dead, I'm a deadhead.
Yeah.
I'm in that way. I'm totally a deadhead. So
yeah, agreed.
100%.
The other deadheads can kick rocks. So
they'll just collect them, paint them.
Don't get me started on the hippies. Anyway, well, speaking of things that we have followed for, shall we say, for almost 40 years. I know I watched the original movie in the theater as a child, but we had one thing I wanted to make sure we get into because we're making good time, but you know how we try to be time conscious.
Thanks, Chris.
On this.
Thanks, Dad.
Fuck off.
No pee breaks. We're making good time.
I wear my Depends. Thank you very much.
There you go, buddy.
There you go. I know what to do. Always prepared. But we definitely had talked about Willow as well, which was originally what we were leading up to for not only a great childhood movie back in the 80s and great actors, story, and everything, the fucking series that just wrapped up this week on Disney Plus.
Absolute fucking fire, son.
Dude,
fire.
It was... sometimes you can be angry about how long it takes in between the sequels or whatever they do to follow up these movies and certain things.
They did it right.
The timing was done just right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about some bullshit Avatar timing, whatever. James Cameron just sat on that for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, he was making... Listen, I'm going to give it to James Cameron. Avatar 2 is a good movie. It's beautiful. It's long, yes. And they probably could have cut some time off, but... I'm not director, but I will say it's kicking ass in theaters. So, James Cameron deserves the respect.
And don't get me wrong, I even like the first Avatar, even though it is Dances with Wolves with aliens and blah, 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 whatever you can say. But the effects, the way things were done, it beautifully done. I'm not knocking that. I'm just like, why do you got to wait like 20 plus years to do a sequel?
Well, that you'd have to ask him directly.
Exactly, and I don't have that much clout in the world, so I'm not even going to try.
I mean, sometimes it just takes a long time for that idea to make sense. Sometimes people do need to age. Like Willow, for example. Well, money's always a factor. That's for sure. But
never seen it.
No, Willow. No, and I didn't.
Or Avatar, well, that's one we won't hold against you. It's okay.
Yeah. I would say Willow.
It's not the blasphemy of Nick Cage.
So for those who haven't seen it, Willow is set in a very Lord of the Ringish style world.
Medieval fantasy.
Medieval fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, basically. And you have...
Fucking right.
Yeah, and you have a sort of, Han Solo-ish, not knight, but amazing sword. He's a scoundrel. He's a nerf herder, sort of sword fighter. Amazing sword fighter.
You're only bringing this in because George Lucas did the movie, so...
Well, I mean...
That doesn't mean you can always cross-reference his terms, man.
I will cross-reference whatever I deem necessary to cross-reference. And he is a nerf herder. No, he is... That's that character. Is that sort of lone rider sort of thing. And they go out and he goes on adventures and looks for treasure. And he's essentially a treasure hunter with mad sword skills. And he has possibly one of the coolest names, Mad Mardigan. Which is like, when you say it, it just rolls off your tongue. Which apparently
is one word from what I've been seeing.
It's one word.
But I totally, again, movie reference back in the day, I totally swear there was a space that it was Mad Mardigan. Like he was a mad, crazy dude.
Right.
And his name was Mardigan.
That's his nickname, Mad Mardigan.
Exactly.
And it very well could have been. They could have just done it wrong. I mean, I don't give a fuck. It's still a badass.
But you know what? It was fucking Val Kilmer, so I'll take it.
And it was Val Kilmer, I think he was riding high off of... Was it?
A bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he was doing a bunch of stuff. I would say Top Gun.
Top Gun was prior, but I mean, we're talking about early to mid '80s was Val Kilmer Hollywood almost. So many good movies. Man.
I wouldn't say that. The early to mid '90s too. Even Batman did really well for him, even though it wasn't critically shit on. It made
we could pick that one apart. We won't go there.
It made a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And he did The Saint, and he's got tons of movies he's done.
For sure, yeah.
But that movie, that was this off movie. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's '89, and he plays this character. And there's there's an evil sorceress, and she's gonna, she wants to destroy the world, and she's got her daughter helping her.
Well, the worst thing about that, she wanted to kill a freaking baby.
Right, she wanted.
That was the big thing. Was
this baby is like the Jesus Christ of this world,
essentially, yeah.
Essentially, but as a sorceress, not like a holy being,
a savior of the people.
She's savior, but she's not there to save them from themselves. She's there to help them fight a war, and that's basically the base. And that baby falls into the hands of Willow, this little, I forget what they're called. The Gelfing or
no, the discriminatory nickname is called Peck.
Yeah, that's what they use to make fun of him. But it falls in the hands of Willow, and Willow wants to be a sorcerer, and so he goes in this journey to get this baby to a safe place and to find. What he needs.
They're supposed to be searching for the one, and of course we didn't double check names, so I'm gonna totally fuck this
up. The wand of Galandria.
Yeah, well, they were supposed to get her.
They were
searching for her.
Right.
First, he comes across Mad Mardigan, and antics ensue, basically.
Right, and it's a comedy adventure, and it goes through, and of course, it ends with, the heroes winning the day. Mad Mardigan, instead of being this scoundrelous, where he'll fight, but only for himself. He ends up fighting for
the people
that he cares about, which is Willow and Matt and the evil witch's daughter, Sorsha was her name, Sorsha.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, they win the day. They rule. Willow goes home, and the baby is taken care of by Mad Mardigan. So, fast forward, how long was it? How many years is that? 20, 30
Willow
years?
came out. See, you're supposed to be the tech guy double checking.
Well, I know, but today we're a party of 3, so I don't have my stuff in front of me. My laptop and stuff.
Oh, excuses.
But anyways, this shoots forward.
1988 was the film.
All right, 1988. So this shoots forward that far in their timeline where
well, it's like anything, Lucas. No, the aging doesn't match ours at all, and depending. Well, there's no exact age for a lot of stuff.
He didn't de-age anybody in the show. I'll tell you that much. They straight up used just some makeup to make them look good, but it was pretty much all them. But I will say this is possibly one of the best. I was excited when I heard about it, but I didn't know how they were going to do it. It was one of the best shows.
Well, and it did have the Lucas touch of secrecy. They leaked out only what they were gonna leak out to give you a taste, to get you salivating for it and everything. You didn't even see who the characters were gonna be until they actually released like a little funny short that they recorded of Warwick Davis, making fun of himself and working with new actors who were nobodies, and they did a whole joke thing about that.
And it's George Lucas behind it, the man himself, because the special effects in this show were phenomenal, like better than like most Marvel CGI like special effects, but like practical effects mixed in. And we'll talk about that final episode, but Willow's, we'll get to why he does this, but his magic and her magic is so, it's like, it reminds me of Jubilee from the X-Men cartoons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the way they did stuff for the series, absolutely. More like has a sparkler tendency to like how it looks.
Yeah, it sparkles and pops like when it shoots. It's like electricity, but instead of like the lightning bolts coming out of it, it just like pops. It's really it's weird the way they did it, but it looks good. It doesn't look like Harry Potter. It doesn't look like you know the Force lightning.
But it is still very powerful because again, Jubilee is actually a perfect way to compare it, because even though like a lot of people recognize Jubilee from the 90s cartoon, but if you look at the comic lore for Jubilee, she is actually one of the most powerful mutants on the planet at the time.
Is she?
Even though it looks very sparkly and everything, basically her power could like melt you to nothing.
No,
like it could wipe out people in a heartbeat if she didn't learn control and different things like that. She's actually very, very powerful. But the cartoon made it look very like, oh, fireworks.
So she's like a Laura Dannon in the show, who starts out weak, and they say it in the show as so. Essentially, in the show, it's almost like they're Satan, and it really is. It's called the Worm, and
the parallels between how they do the evil magic in this world and stuff
it's fairly basic good and evil stuff, but it's done really well.
You're talking about George Lucas worlds, which is very straightforward on that. So
right,
but it works. I mean, it totally works. I mean, no negativity on that.
No, it absolutely works. They mixed that sort of like that medieval D&D world, but the humor is very contemporary.
Absolutely.
They didn't try to like redo the stuff from the movie. They didn't try to like, but they didn't throw in our world in terms of references, which is good, but they made it contemporary. So, and the characters were, contemporary. They had every walk of life shown in that show, and they didn't focus on it too much. It wasn't about two girls falling in love or two girls kissing, or it wasn't about them being that way. It was about the actual just love between different characters.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they did a really good job of conveying that.
The growing of characters, things like that. And I'm thinking that's a little bit more of what probably Lucas wanted to do, but I can only imagine how the budget would have been back in 88 for what they did do for the movie. So you're just like, especially again, like we were saying, like someone like Val Kilmer being such a big name at the time, that's your budget right there. And there were some other pretty famous people at the time as well. So it's like,
I mean, I bet you every bit of the budget for this show is probably like $100 million.
Oh, easily, but that budget is way more doable now than it was in something like 88, where
Well, in 88, I don't
limitations on special effects and everything like that. So
remind me to look up. I'll have to look up that budget, what it was for the original movie. But I bet you, if you adjust for inflation and then everything is inflated in terms of cost,
very possible.
It's probably equal-ish. You know, and that's just a guess. I don't have any data in front of me to back that up.
Right.
That's just an assumption. Is that
but
it's probably pretty close.
Basically, what I was saying though, I think Lucas was trying to build more to that group adventure. Mm-hmm. It just the way the story worked, you couldn't fit anybody else in the movie. Right. But the series worked way better.
Yes. And every character was fleshed out finely. They didn't really leave a lot to the imagination of like who these people are. Are they gonna, do like they fleshed it out really nicely, I think, for everybody. Even the brother who had barely anything to do.
Oh yeah. Well,
Madmartigan's son, let's be clear, he had 2 children with Sorsha. Sorsha runs. She's the queen of Tersley. And she sent her daughter after the Crone, which is basically the big bad guys. I know you saw that, Jim. Mm-hmm. I know you watched that. The guy with like the cage around his head.
Yeah.
And the flying dude.
Yeah.
And I guess the witch was the Crone, right?
No, that was just another
She's the
magical person as part of the crew.
Okay, so she was another one.
And then there was the big super strong guy with the cage around his head and stuff
reminded me of 13 Ghosts. Remember that movie?
Totally, yeah.
Totally. That's actually, they all kind of reminded me of like creatures or like ghosts from that movie.
Yeah.
It was done really well.
Pretty similar, yeah.
But they come and attack them and then take the brother, which is Madmartigan's son. Which is funny because they do a little thing in the first episode where they show his son flipping the sword up, just like Val Kilmer does in the original movie.
Oh yeah,
right before he slips down the hill.
Yep.
Which is really good.
There were some really good throwbacks to the movie throughout the series, and even the subtle ones. Which did you pick up about where they were in the castle from the movie, and they were eating?
Which one?
And they were telling the story about how all the good guys got turned into pigs during the movie.
Oh yeah,
and they got traded them back. But then they were like, someone said something about, did you turn them all back human? And they all kind of look at their food and set it aside because they definitely were not done eating.
Was that Borman?
That might have been Borman.
Borman had the best lines of the show. He was one of my favorite characters.
He was the great little one-liner.
He was the Madmartigan without having Madmartigan there.
But it made sense because he was Madmartigan's squire that you find out through the series.
Yes.
And everything. So,
I'm not sure how much how much time we have left,
we shouldn't do a deep dive on the series, but if you definitely want to talk about, I would say since we've spoiled so much of this anyways, that
Well, we'll basically wrap it up. It's essentially their Lord of the Rings journey over vast lands to get to the Shattered Sea.
Some fun battles.
A lot of battles ensue along the way.
Ensues.
Yeah, hilarity. People
good
fall
times,
in love.
Bad times.
Yeah. But you get to the final episode where they've reached like the apex, the top, or actually, I guess the Eternal City is below. Not really sure. It was a different realm. They find Madmartigan's son. His sister does. And through this journey, they've fought all manners of creature. And by the end of the episode, they've essentially set it up, and they show you what it is that, they've broken free from the whatever the influence was of the Crone.
Right.
And the Crone gets destroyed. There's a battle ensues between Allura and Willow and everybody. Before that happens, you see Allura almost turning to the dark side.
Basically.
Getting turned to the dark side by drinking this, the elixir and kind of giving herself over to the Crone instead of fighting against her, and to get married. And as they're doing that, she turns, she's like, all right, this is where the contemporary humor, she's like, you're kind of being creeper. You're being creepy. No, like totally creepy.
Oh yeah, I don't love you anymore.
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
Right, you're just kind of weird now. Like the old you would gag at the new you.
And basically,
and that's basically what she says. And when they go to the city, Willow stays behind, and you see him walking away. And I remember watching it, going, "What the fuck are you going? This is your show."
Yeah,
you're not going back to your kids.
See,
sorry,
that was that's part of the great writing of where they found for this series to be that even though Willow was the big hero at the time, but he wasn't always the hero. There were things that happened in between, things that happened during the series.
Yeah. Well, he admits it himself. He killed the witch in the first movie by dumb fucking luck.
Oh, yeah.
It was. He won by dumb luck, and he's just like, I'm not a great sorcerer. I won by dumb luck. But through the show, he's had to push himself harder and harder than he ever has before.
Right.
And that's where you see him walking away, and I'm like, motherfucker, it's your show. Where are you going?
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where they get to the battle, and Allura decides, I'm not drinking your Kool-Aid. Go fuck yourself.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, literally and figuratively. And as she says that, Willow comes, and you hear him go, slams his staff down.
Yeah.
And he does this spell, and it's this slow motion spark, but it's like it's shooting through each one of the illusions. And you just see it all shatter like glass. And to tell you, right, his return, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I was so excited. I felt like a 12-year-old.
The name of the show is Willow.
I was like, you better come back and show some that Peck Cahones you got on you.
Peck Cahones.
You know? I bet you those things are like bulldog nuts, you know?
Oh my God. Why did we get to nuts?
I'm tempted to really call the episode Peck Cahones.
But long story short, he shows up and he's complete badass, and it's such a great scene. And then the fight ensues, and they end up winning for the time being. But they show you the other side of the wall, the veil.
But don't ruin that last episode because that's you can't ruin the last scene.
Bullshit. If they haven't watched it, I'm sure that if you've listened to this podcast, you've turned it off by now to watch it first. If you haven't watched it, I'm ruining it because it's one of the coolest fucking things that I wasn't expecting.
It is pretty badass. I admit.
It was like being 8 years old, having an X-Men poster, having that the iconic one with all the X-Men characters on it, standing and looking. You know what I'm talking about? It was like 93, 94, super popular.
But this was the evil poster.
But this was the evil version, and digitally, and it was like live. And it shows the worm forming into Allura, like a copycat, the evil Allura,
right?
The Dark Angel, and she's she's doing a speech, and it starts playing. I forget what the song is, but it starts playing some sort of rock music, and it comes up over her shoulder and over this little hill, and you just see every manner of like dark creature. It looked like the cover of a D&D like.
Like it was a Molly Hatchet record album cover. Yeah.
And in the background, in the original movie, Willow in one of the castles is fighting trolls or attacking him. He shoots it with the wand. Troll falls in the water, grows like 2 fucking heads and like 150 feet. Just completely mutates from this spell. And so we have all these manners of creatures, and in the background you have that big callback to the movie.
Fire breathing, some...
Right.
Like it looks like a weird 2-headed brontosaurus that breathes fire.
Right. And
basically.
And they turn this like small adventure movie between good and evil, and it is an all-out war. It is now a show about going to war.
Well, and that's the great thing about the series, to where, at least for us remembering the movie, to where we see this next group it's the crossover generational thing that I love.
Yeah.
That unfortunately my kids are not, they were not into the series at all, but something caught their eye a couple times, so it's just a matter of finding the right day to be like, hey, check this show out.
Yeah. When they find things on their own, that's when they start.
But it's a great crossover
it.
For the next generation, building the characters and everything. And my opinion on what they've been doing, I still love movies. I still love going to the movie theater. But for some of this stuff, to flesh out a proper story, we've got to have a series. And this did it perfectly for a sequel to the movie.
Yeah, I 100% agree. In order to properly flesh out stories now, you really need to have like a series. Like something like Wednesday could not have been done in a movie. You could have done it in a movie, but everything would have felt forced.
Yeah, it would have been one of those quick, like, almost direct-to-DVD 90s movies.
Yeah, like, that's what it would have felt like, because it would have been forced.
And it would have been bad.
Right. It
very, very bad. So, but we are approaching some of our time, so we should try to get in some comparing real quick.
Yes, listen, I've had school this week. It's been a busy week, so I did not find any particular articles that I felt the need to talk about. But I assume that you probably had something, and that we were gonna end it off properly.
Let me double check my list here, because there's been a few things. Again, the new year has started out pretty busy. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Here's a parenting thought. I remember being a kid, and when I did something wrong, or we were being loud or whatever, and it wasn't necessarily from a mean place, but I remember being yelled at all the time. Like, sit down, go outside, do this. You know what I mean? Like, I do remember that. And the difference nowadays is that when you pay attention now as an adult, and you see, like, maybe that's not the best way that. Maybe yelling all the time like their parents did before them wasn't helping the situation. Well, generationally, I mean.
Actually, that comes in perfect for a lot of stuff where I can't even find my right memes now. You know how I love to do the meme.
Mm-hmm.
But that brings up even a very simple discussion of one thing that I know I've experienced personally, and I've seen it with friends and other things, is we cannot parent the same way that our parents did for us.
No.
It's got to be different. And I know in some ways we've talked about it before, but there are way more noticeable things as we go. Like, it's not just as simple of change this a little bit or change this detail. It's like, no, I'm not going to do it that way at all. I'm going over here.
Right. We're going to go the opposite route.
Way. Well, not even opposite, just adapt to the times. That's one of the biggest things that we've got to look at.
Adapt and evolve.
So,
what would you do, Jem?
I grew up in a household where, like, I think so yes, changing from, like, your parents and how they parented, but I do tend to see where when I'm parenting Monkey and, they're going batshit crazy and it's time to, like, calm down.
Right.
Like, my mom's way of parenting was the strict, yell it out, sit down, be quiet. My dad is not. He is very stoic and he'll drop his voice like 4 octaves and sound like Darth Vader and scare the shit out of, okay, Dad, I'm sorry.
Yep.
But, like, I tend to find myself gearing more towards how my dad parented me because I responded better. When my mom would yell at me, I would just do that, okay, and I would piss her off. I would just cross my arms and say, okay, and I wouldn't react. But with my dad, I would just crumble. And so when I'm, getting Monkey's attention, I don't raise my voice at her. And, I mean, she's not my kid. I'm a step-parent. But, like, and it's not my place to yell at her. If I need to set her straight, if she's overstepping a boundary, sure, I'm going to correct that. But as a step-parent, I'm not trying to yell at you. You're not my kid. I want you to feel comfortable around me. But I'm not going to take your shit either.
Well, shit's still got to happen the way it needs to happen.
So,
I mean...
Instead of yelling, I try to explain, like, hey, your dad told you to clean your bathroom 30 minutes ago. You know what happens when you don't do what you're told.
Right.
Here are your consequences. So get it done. It'll be over before you know it. And then you can go back and do whatever you want. And then daddy's not going to be mad because you want to know why? You did what you had to do. And 99.9% of the time, they'll get up and do what they need to do. There's always that one little chance where you're like, all right, you're pushing it.
Yeah. See, I catch myself, like, I'll even catch myself getting loud at first, but that's like the attention grabber. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, you're not listening, blah. All right, take a breath. Mm-hmm. This is what needs to be done, and like mellow out the voice a little bit, do that type of thing is more so what I have found to be more effective now. Doesn't work every time. No, nothing works every time 100% of the whatever. But
no, never. Never. You'll never get 100% success rate. You'll be lucky to get 20% half the fucking time.
That's true.
And she's right. Like I was the way I was raised, and I didn't have a dad around, but my mom had to step up for both, and she was loud. She had to be alpha. She had to be tough. Not in a mean way.
Oh, don't use alpha.
Or not alpha, but. Well,
I even prefer just a more generic, like she had to be top dog because it had to be like
top dog is literally alpha by scientific standards. I don't know. I don't in terms of just if you think of a wolf pack, you're not going to call him top dog. He may not like
the person in charge
your ass apart.
has to regulate the other little dumbasses.
All right, fair enough. Like so, we'll go with top dog. Yeah, we'll go with top dog. All right, but she had to assert that while also providing love, which is a tough balance. Yeah. And so early on, when my kid was growing up, I thought like, all right, well, if I'm, I have a loud, booming voice, so if I'm loud with it, it'll, come across. And I've learned over time, especially now that she's almost a teenager, is that doesn't work.
Yeah,
it only breeds more problems. The more so I've had to evolve and learn to sit down and listen to her or talk with her, and go through it that route. Even if she always thinks it might be a lecture, it's which is I've learned to shut up and listen to her more.
Or
sure.
What I've noticed too, because your daughter and I are both only children, so I totally understand what it is to be an only child. The spotlight's on you. There is no sibling that you can blame your wrongdoing
Pass
on.
the buck on that one, yeah.
Nope, it is all you, and it will always be all you as long as you're an only child. And one thing I wish my parents did allow me to do when I was angry is to feel those emotions and to let me be angry. And if I'm angry and I storm up to my room, let me be angry. And you've done, Smash, a really good job at now, if she gets pissed, let her ass go upstairs and be mad for a second and process that anger, and for her to understand what anger is. Because when I was growing up, it was don't talk back, don't cop an attitude, you're not allowed to be angry even though you are angry.
You have every right to be angry.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
and you have every right to be angry. Now, you don't have every right to be an asshole to your parents or to be disrespectful.
Probably my most common phrase is, it's okay for you to, if you're mad, that's fine, but don't act like this or do this as a reaction to being mad.
Correct.
Right.
Trying to talk about that.
Right.
It's cool the way you're feeling.
And don't copy us. Don't always copy us. I tell my kid, don't try to think about before you do things and before you react and let it get to you. Try to calm yourself down. I said, don't copycat the way I do. I'm your dad, but I'm not perfect.
Right.
And
exactly.
I'm not, and that means that I can make mistakes, but as long as we own up to them and try to be better, that's the best thing that we can do. It's all we can do.
We are all evolving. The children, us, how we parent, everything is got to be a constant. It's got to be fluid.
Until you run into the ones who refuse to evolve. And that's where you try to steer away from life.
That's a whole nother discussion
on
what we got to do. But we are at a point now where I think we should definitely start wrapping up. It sounds like the weather is getting a little crazy.
I think. I don't think it's getting crazy. I think it is crazy.
It is crazy.
There's a thunderstorm in January. What is happening?
Right. So sorry if you hear that in the background, guys. But as the show, it happens. We have background noise.
I'm not sorry. I want you to take it. Listen to it. It's like ASMR.
Whoa! We got you worked up, man. Hold up. But guys, thank you very much. Hopefully everybody had a safe and great new year bringing in 2023. As you know, we are doing our belly crawls, taking it just one little step at a time. We're going to take this year as safe and easy as possible, but still having fun, bringing all sorts of great things to you there. So, and speaking of which, we should go ahead and start throwing out there. We did an early mention some episodes ago. We have... or I should say Hobbit, who does the legwork a little bit on this. Our panel submissions have been put in for GalaxyCon Richmond 2023, which is happening towards the end of March. So as you know, we will keep you updated on details and everything as we get them, as soon as we can. Look for them online, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff as well. But we do plan to be there, hopefully, doing a panel, and some of us still usually show up just to even visit, see some of the celebrities and the fun stuff and all that as well.
It's going to be a great time regardless.
Absolutely.
We'll be there regardless of how anything happens. We'll be there.
We'll be there in one form or another.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, be sure to keep an eye out for that. And, of course, the best way to do that is to check out all of our shows on GUIPodcast.com. Of course, not only us, the Geekfathers, but our friends with GUI Flagship is wrapping up very soon.
As I say, tomorrow we record the final episode.
The final episode for GUI Flagship. But, of course, us from the Mouths of Madness, Beautiful Disaster, Smack My Pitch Up, and other new shows are coming. The network is still alive and kicking well in 2023. So there's some great things there. And while you are checking out new episodes, of course, click on that fun little link to see our friends at TeePublic. TeePublic has all the needs for GUI gear. Actually, we probably should kick it up a notch to see if we can get some new gear before the con.
Well, it might be worth it.
A goal. If we don't reach it, it's fine. But if we can,
I'm gonna walk in with a pillow.
There you go.
The old, hey,
you know that pillow. You know that pillow.
That's right, baby.
Always that pillow.
Yeah, you can never. I mean, never hurts to have a good pillow with you.
That's right. Especially with our faces on it.
Well,
I mean, you could.
You could.
I mean,
if you saw a star that you were like, "Oh my god!" Because that way you didn't scream top of your lungs and get thrown out of the con.
That could work too.
That will work. That's gonna work.
So, check out all the GUI gear, especially before the convention, guys. We'll keep you up to date. But thank you very much for sticking with us through another year. We have a whole nother year to get through of geeky parenting, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and the ways we're trying to have fun, guys. So thank you very much. Just don't forget, join us.
Or cry.
Oh, and thank you, Em. Woo! Em joined us, but she didn't talk a whole lot.
Well, we got to let her do it.
What?
Join us.
Or cry.
There it is.
That's sultry.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
GUIPodcast.com.